Boom.
Good morning, afternoon, and evening, guys. You're locked into Conscious Minds TV as well as Erin's channel, which is Erin Wage Astrology. And today's show is named Astrology and Astronomy on the Stationary Earth. So basically, what we're going to be getting into today is more of the technical side of how the birth chart works. And we're going to like syncretize it with like animations and diagrams on astronomy websites. And also I'm going to get into, like, for example, if you like live on different latitudes, how you'll get a shorter day and a longer day. And also I'm going to explain it. I'm going to explain how the birth chart syncretizes with the flat earth map as well, and the flat earth model, and how people who are into the flat earth model can syncretize astrology and how the sun moves and what house it would be in. And yeah, I'm going to show diagrams, videos. I'm going to go to some animations and some websites. And yeah, I'm just going to teach people how they can go outside and look and learn visually, as well as just knowing that, for example, the sun is in Aries, but how to know by visually looking in the sky, by how high the sun is in the sky, how low it is, and not just the sun, you can tell with the moon as well, which I'm going to go into. So, and yeah, also, what another thing I want to say about people watching this who are not flat earthers, basically, astrology works on any model. So, astrology itself is not bound by a model because it's ultimately just the relationship of the sun and planets with the earth. So no matter what your model is, it will work on any model. But what I'm going to be using today is an astronomy website, which has like animations. But what's ironic about it is the animation that astronomy websites use is like a mini version of a flat Earth. So then flat earthers can understand, not just flat earthers, all, like I said, all models can correlate to this animation, but it's just ironic that the animation they use looks like a flat earth. And also, yeah, I'm just gonna go into a few technical things. Anything you want to add, Erin?
Yeah, I do. I just want to say to all of you guys out there that over my years of being an astrologer, more and more and more of not just clients for sure, but more and more people are just reaching out to me on social media sites and whatnot and asking, Erin, does astrology work on a flat earth? And it just seems like this is a topic that's becoming more and more popular to talk about. And I think most of my listeners know how incredibly open-minded I am. And it's something that I think is important we talk about and explore and at least look at. And hopefully, this conversation doesn't end up triggering anybody. I certainly don't want anybody to leave any cruddy comments on either of our channels here. So let's just roll with it and see how this goes. The reason I reached out to Mehmet is because he really knows the mechanics of how all of these things work. He's an incredible astrologer as well, but the mechanic part of it that's where you are absolutely profound and probably one of the wisest people on earth to talk about this sort of thing. So I'm excited to get into this. And yeah, I think we'll try to keep this around an hour. We'll just kind of see how it
Yeah,
rolls.
it won't be too long, but like, yeah, but yeah, thanks for your kind words. I'd like to think I'm just a student. I'm still learning myself. I'm not gonna come across as I'm like some super astronomer slash astrologer, but it's something I've been fascinated by in the last 10 years, and I've been studying it a lot, and going to different countries and viewing the stars at different latitudes has helped me understand little things. But we're going to get into all that now. So what I'll do is I'll share my screen, and I'll go to the desktop. Can you see my screen, Erin? Am I sharing my screen?
I see it.
Yep. Okay. So let me go here, and right, so let me first go here. This is the site I'm using is called Astronomy Education at the University of Nebraska, Lincoln. And then when you go to the website, we'll leave a description of this. We'll leave a link in the description where people can go and check it out for themselves. Like, this is the list of all the stuff you can check out. But what I've done, I've bookmarked the ones that I'm going to use specifically for the show. And what I first want to do is I just want to get into showing people the basic mechanics of how an astrology chart works. So as you can see here, there's a line that says horizon, and then the top half is considered daytime and the bottom half is considered nighttime. So you can see here, this is the sun at midnight, the sun at sunrise, the sun at noon, and then the sun when it sets. And this is house 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then the sun rises from left to right for us in the northern hemisphere. But if you're in the southern hemisphere, it's the opposite way round. But we're going to be concentrating on it more from a northern hemisphere perspective.
Yep.
So yeah, like I said, the sun travels up here and then it gets here at noon and then it sets, and then this is the midnight point. So what I want to now show you guys is an animation of how that works in real life. So if I escape this and then push this down and go to the website and go to this website. So can you see this, Erin?
Yeah.
Right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this around. So this is on an astronomy website, and this just shows you like the basic movements of how the sun rises and sets. So think of this line here as the MC. The line below, can you see my cursor?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this line here below would be the IC. This point here is the ascendant, and this point here is the descendant.
And for those of you who have had readings with either of us, so that MC, if you want to move your mouse up there, the MC,
Yeah.
very top of the chart, as I've told so many of you, that is a part that has a huge influence on your status in the world and your career and your authority and that sort of thing. And then if we go down to the IC, the
Yeah.
bottom part, then that is more the home life and family. Heck, can have a little bit to do with children. And then over towards the ascendant, the AC.
Yep, they are.
That is where the sun rises. That is where, the influence of the persona comes from. Sometimes that is even described as the point that rules over the lens that we see this whole experience through. And then the DC, just opposite that, that's always going to show where relationships and contracts show up. So does that make sense, Emmett? Okay.
Yeah, so what I'm gonna now show, like, for the people, like, for example, so like we've mentioned before, this where my cursor is the MC. That would be the top of the chart. This would be the bottom of the chart, AC and DC. So for example, right, I'm it's on any date, but we're just showing you now. If I at this bottom part, you can see it's got midnight, 6 a.m. It's got the time of the day. So if I then now move this, oh, it's frozen up. All right, bear with me a second. So let me. Right. So for example, you can see now the sun. Can you see the sun is at the noon point, Erin?
Yeah.
Yeah. So for example, you see this red line here is
Yeah.
the time of the day. So for example, now the sun would be at the cusp of the 10th and the 9th house.
Okay.
So it's at noon, for
Right.
example. But if I then now move this red line, you can see the sun moving, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so this would be the sun in the ninth house, for example. And then if I carry on going, the eighth house, carry on going, the seventh house. And then once it's set, here it will be in the sixth house. And then you keep going, fifth house, fourth house, and then it would hit the IC here at midnight.
Which is the cusp between the third and the fourth. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So then now, if I carry it on, it will then, now this is the third house, second house, first, and then it will come back to the rising. So if I like turn it around, for example, you can see now when I move this line, how the sun rises. So basically, we all have our own personal dome. This
Right.
is the only way that we all visualize the sun rising and setting. We see it rise from the east and set in the west. So if I like, again, move it. So if I move the red line, so yeah, so it rises in the east and sets in the west. But obviously, if I now change it round and I move the latitude to being in the southern hemisphere, and I turn this round and then I move it, you will see it will move the opposite way. So now the sun is setting that way.
Okay, gotcha. I could
Right?
I could definitely see why this would be a little confusing to people who Mehmet has showed me this website a few times, although there's definitely been some upgrades to this website since the last time you
Definitely.
but it took me a little while to I think there was a 3 times that you had to actually show me again and again, and I finally went, oh, okay, now I see it. So if you're not seeing it, if you're new to this stuff and you're not getting it right away, maybe just watch it a few times and
Yeah.
definitely go to the website and check it out because it's
Yeah,
pretty.
also have a play around with it yourself, because ultimately the only way you can learn about it is doing it yourself. Do you get what I mean? Because it's easy for me to say what I'm saying, but you have to kind of grasp it and understand it yourself.
Yeah.
And that way to get in touch with it a bit and see how it all works basically. So yeah, so that's basically, this is just like a 3D model of the birth chart ultimately. This diagram is
Exactly.
just a 3D model of the birth chart, and that's all I'm showing basically. And again, it just all depends on your latitude of where you are on Earth, in how high or low the sun will be at particular times of the year. So, for example, Erin, we know that during Christmas time, for us, the days are very short, right?
Yeah.
So, so for example, if I now change the date, this is on March the 20th. That's how high the sun is, this high in the sky. But then when I go to December,
Which March 20th, that'd basically be the
yeah, the spring equinox, yeah. So now when I'm in December, the sun is much lower in the sky, which now leads me on to my next slide. Or not slide, but the next section. No, it's not this one. It is this one. Bear with me. Sorry, I'm pressing the wrong one.
okay.
So yeah. So what this shows, for example, when I click all this, this will show like the equator and the tropics. So you can now see summer solstice, which is the Tropic of Cancer, equinox path, which is Aries and Libra, and winter solstice path, which is the Tropic of Capricorn. So, for example, if I turn this round, because we look from north to south, right? So, so for example, there's 3 loops here. So the most bottom loop, this loop here, is the Tropic of Capricorn. So you can see it's a short loop. That's why we get a shorter day. And then as it moves up and down, which I'm going to show you now in another diagram, that's how we get longer and shorter days, basically. But if you look at it from the side, you can also see, look, this line here is the Tropic of Cancer, so it's big arc. The Libra and Aries arc is still big, but it's shorter than the Cancer one. And then the Capricorn one, again, is the shortest one from our perspective. But again, this all depends on your latitude. So for someone at, for example, the equator, if I change it to the equator, you see now
Wow.
their variation in days isn't like ours because their loops, the arcs of the sun from their latitude are all quite big.
So I was just in Alaska about a month ago, and it was so interesting because it was like 11:30 at night, and we go out and the sun is barely even setting. It was really
I'm going to show that now. So I'm so glad you brought that up, Erin, because look, for example, right, if I go, so Alaska, so that, do you know the latitude it was at?
No, I don't, unfortunately.
Yeah, so for example, if you, the further north you go, so if you go past like 65, so actually, let me show you it on this one. Or would it be? No. This, is it this one? Yeah, actually, yeah. No, where is it? Where is it? 1 second. Bear with me. Yeah, right. So, because this has an animation, so Alaska is about up here, right? Near Greenland. So
Mhm.
now, for example, you'll see when I press animation, you'll see that the sun won't set. If I start the animation, you see that it doesn't go below the green horizon
Yeah.
because of the latitude,
Yeah.
right? But then now, if I stop it and change it to the UK latitude, it does go below the horizon. It will set. So you can see that the sun actually, now it's day and then it's dark.
So this is also why when you use, and I'm going to say some things that will actually, a lot of this conversation might go over some people's heads, but when you're using a whole sign house system, if you're born way up north, your midheaven, your MC could be in your 12th house. I've seen.
Yeah, exactly. So that's another thing as well that I'm glad you brought that up, Erin, because like for example, um, depending on what time of the year you're born, the sun can be at different in different houses, although it's set. So for example, now the sun's just set here now in London.
Okay.
So it's only just gone into the seventh house.
Yeah. Okay.
But in like in Capricorn, that would have happened 4 hours ago. Because
Yeah.
when the sun's in Capricorn, because it gets dark early because it's a shorter arc,
Right. Exactly.
it would get like the sun would be in the seventh house around like 5 p.m.
Right. And for those of you who are a little confused on when we're talking about these houses, that is, maybe we should at some point go back and go give a little explanation on that. When we're talking about, it's whatever
Yep,
house.
let me go back to so let's go back to this. So should I go, what should I go? You mean like, is this diagram okay?
Sure. So those things that I always describe as that look like a slice of pie are the houses. And
Exactly.
always going to be 12 of them. And whatever sun the house was in, or did I say that right? Whatever house the sun was in when you were born is going to have a huge impact on basically the theme of your life, your
Yep.
whole experience here. So somebody's born with the sun right at the top of the chart, like I mentioned earlier, that's status and career. Those people tend to be a little more career driven.
Yep.
So somebody who's born around noon, provided what time of year it is. And those people who are born with their sun way at the bottom of the chart
Yep.
tend to be a little more introverted because that's the
Yep.
area over the whole family and that sort of thing. So do you have anything
Exactly.
to add to that?
Yeah, so going back to where are we? Going back to this website. Yeah, so you can basically just see from people in different parts of the world and at different times of the year, will the sun and moon will be at different heights in the sky.
Yeah.
And that's all we're showing. So, like, for example, let me turn it around again, or actually, let me go to, I think it is this one. Yeah, this is the one. So, for example,
What a,
here at the bottom, can you see this, Erin?
just what a great website.
Yeah. So, look, here I'm moving it. You can see, look, so this is the sun at Capricorn. It's at the bottom. So, for example, if I turn it around, you can see, right? Now, the sun's at Capricorn, right?
Okay.
It's the see that yellow arc, that's the Tropic of Capricorn.
Mhm.
But then so now if I turn it to the side, the blue one is the equator, so Aries and Libra, and this white one is Cancer.
Yeah.
So now, for example, when we move the date, we can see how the sun's position at noon changes. So, for example, let me move. Sorry, this is really fiddly website. So now, when I move this, January, you can see the sun's going up, 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 and now, bang, we've hit Aries. So that's Aries. So because it's the sun at that position in the sky is what gives off that particular energy at that time of the year. So
Right.
then now we'll go through March. So this will say this is Aries, 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 Aries. Then we come to like the 20th of 1st of April. Now we're hitting Taurus season. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. We're hitting Gemini season. Then we go right to the 21st of June.
Summer solstice.
Yeah, summer solstice. And now you can see the sun is high in the sky for us.
Yeah.
And then obviously Cancer, Cancer, Leo, Virgo. And then once it hits the blue line, bang, Libra. Carries on, carries on, carries on.
That is so interesting.
Carry on now with Scorpio. So you see that the sun is going up and down in the sky.
Yeah.
And that is what is creating the shorter days and shorter nights, basically, because the sun travels between, let me turn it around, these three lines, basically. Is traveling between those three lines to create the seasons.
Which,
It's not, well, it's actually, well, it's not literally traveling, it's rising from left to right, but then it just goes forward each day to create that variation. Because that's what this, because every time you move this, you can see, like, every time you move, where am I? Yeah, if I move this, yeah, you can see that how, again, it's just going up and down, up and down. And that is literally how we get seasons.
what
So
is what is it called again when people take a picture of the sky, the same point that from the
Oh,
same.
the analema. Yeah, I've got that in my pictures. I can show you that.
That's exactly why that I
Yeah,
remember 10 years
yeah.
ago. I don't understand how that works.
I'll show you if I go to the photos and then I go to that. Yeah, these are just like pictures of what I've been showing you, basically. The same thing. So you can see June 21st, uh, equinox, and December 21st. And you can see how small this arc is, which gives us like a shorter day.
That's my
So
least my
yeah.
least.
So what you're talking about, Erin, is if you take a picture,
You just passed it.
um, if you take a picture at the same time every single day, it will create, like over a time lapse image, it will create this figure of eight ultimately. And the reason why the bottom, you see, like the top half is smaller than the top loop is smaller than the bottom loop, right? And that is because you can see that the Tropic of Cancer is a smaller loop, whereas the Tropic of Capricorn is a bigger loop, the yellow line. And the yellow line is the Tropic of Capricorn, and the orange line is the Tropic of Cancer. So, because the sun travels around and around these lines, as it travels at different times of the year, that's why them two loops are, one is smaller, which signifies this orange line, and one is bigger, which signifies this yellow line. So, like, yeah, that's like a diagram of the analema.
There you go.
So, what I was going to show you, Erin, is, for example, right, on a flat Earth map. So, your MC, so when the sun, you're California, so you'd be roughly here, right?
Uh, so yes.
Yeah. So this line here, so once the sun reaches, so the sun's going around like this, basically, it travels, just travels around, basically.
Yeah.
This is what the sun's doing. So once the sun gets to this line, this is when it would be noon for you. So for example, this would be the MC,
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
you. And then this line directly opposite here would be your IC. So basically, when the sun's going over like just east of Africa, that's when it's midnight for you,
Yeah.
basically. So at this point, but then obviously it travels round, and then it comes to this line, which would then be your MC. My MC would be here, this line, because there's England. So this would be the 10th house from my perspective.
Yeah.
Actually, let's just do it. So, for example, uh, um, yeah, so 10th, 11th, 12th. Yeah. So for me, these two are my 12th house. These two are my 11th house. These two are my 10th house. These two are the 9th. These two are the 8th. And then these two would be my 7th. And then the sun would set basically for me. So then that's how you would syncretize a map to the astrology chart. You know what I should have done, Erin? I wish I actually writ the house numbers on here to make it easier for people to understand, but I didn't do that because it will be different for everyone in different locations, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Why don't you, will you do that one more time? You explain. Let's start with
Yeah,
California.
so I'll do it for you, and then it will make more sense for you, I think.
Okay.
So if this is your MC, these two chunks here would be your 10th. These two would be your 11th. These two would be your 12th. These two would be your first. These two would be your second. These two would be your third, fourth. Because
Yeah.
these instead of this being split into 12 sections, it's
Yeah.
24 sections, which is the 24 hours of the day.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
These
Okay.
are the time zones, basically.
Okay.
So if I count them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and you come back to the same place. So each one of these is an hour, basically.
Yeah. Okay. I see.
So I don't know if I've made that clear enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I definitely get it. So it just,
Yeah.
okay. I really do.
Now, go on, say what you was going to say, Erin, and I'm going to show a video to you guys.
Let's see the video.
Okay, so the video is, you see that personal dome that I was showing on the website. This here,
Yeah.
I'm going to show you a video of how it works on the flat Earth. Someone's made an animation of it, and I'm going to explain that and again show you where the sun would be in relation to the houses.
Okay.
So, so play. So right, can you see this?
Yes.
Right. So this is like that personal dome that I was showing you on the animation, but on a flat Earth. So okay. So I'll explain. So now, can you see that this is where the sun is here, right? Can you see that?
Yeah, I can see. Oh, I see. Sun we
The
see.
little, yeah, where it says sun we see, yeah. So this sun on an astrological chart would have just gone into the 12th house.
Right. Which would be basically just over the horizon.
Yeah, exactly. So then when I press play, and it's going to start move. Not this part. I'll show you in a minute. This is showing you the latitude thing that I was showing you on the animation site. So this is like if you was directly at the North Pole, your line would be a straight line to look up to Polaris. But the closer you come to the equator, then that red line starts skewing. You're going to see it anyway. See now it's skewing. So when you move down, your angle to Polaris is now different. You're not straight under it because you've moved further south on the Earth.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So the further south you move, Polaris will, and you look north, Polaris will get lower in the sky. So
Just
if I
like
go more, now it's even lower. You can see this line's gone lower in the sky. This
that
red line.
from your own perspective. And that's what you're talking about. You've actually visually seen that.
Yeah, exactly. Because I've been at 3 different latitudes to actually see that Polaris, the further south you go, the lower in the sky it gets.
Okay. Wow.
So now what it's going to do is, and then it goes south. And so this is just showing you how it works south and north. But then now you can you see the sun here?
Yep.
Now you can see that it's showing you how when the sun's going around the flat Earth, it will arc over your personal dome.
Okay.
So for example, like as it moves, see now the sun would roughly be in the 11th house, I'd say.
Yep.
If that makes sense. Then move, this would be the 10th house. As you can see, the sun is at this part of your personal dome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then that would be like the 8th house or the 9th house.
Yeah.
Now it's in the 7th, and then as soon as it hits here, it will go down into the 6th. But obviously, the bottom half of the chart, it's not showing it on this, but it does. See, this is another thing as well. There's 2 kind of theories to flat Earth. There's the theory that we've all got our own personal sun and we all have our own celestial sphere. So the sun that we see is kind of, I don't want to confuse people, but there's 2 theories that the sun is going actually around, but you see it rise and set in because you have a personal bubble. But then there's the theory that we've just all got our own personal bubbles, and then the sun and moon are going just around our own bubbles. But again,
I,
that's
I can see what you and me have talked about this before, so I know what you're talking about, but I can see why some people would be like, what?
yeah,
um,
exactly. But yeah, so this is kind of how it would work on a flat Earth, if that makes sense.
yeah.
Um,
So
go ahead, Erin.
what happens on this website when if you kept it going? Well, so it doesn't show it going, it wouldn't show it going into the sixth and the fifth and the
No,
fourth.
yeah, it basically it wouldn't show it, but once it gets, it just look. I'll show you 1 second. Let me. Yeah, the sun due west. Yeah, it doesn't really show it going down into the other half, basically. But that would be, it would go into the other half once you see the sun up here.
Yeah.
Once it moved around this part of the earth, then it would go under the horizon, if
Okay.
that makes sense. Because it's going around, just say it's going around in the sky, it's going around the earth. But the way we see it once it comes close to us, it appears to that it's actually rising. So,
We
like,
more
so
time.
for all right, 1 second. Oh, let me go back. Let me go back. Let me go back. I don't want to confuse everyone. Right. So now, for example, this would be it rising. So if I press play, now it's you can see it. You can see the sun. Yeah, but there's also a sun up here. Can you see that, Erin?
That's what I'm saying. I think people need to realize that you kind of have to see what
Yeah.
this.
So this is the actual sun, and this sun in the dome is the way we see it.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
makes so that's what I'm trying to explain. Sorry, it's it's such a technical subject, and because I understand it, sometimes the way I explain things is that I explain it like I have to try and find a way to explain it how it make it easy for people to understand. But again, unfortunately, this subject is an intricate subject, and without you having any like basic knowledge of how the sun rises and sets and the houses, you it will be confusing. So unfortunately, this video is more for people who have some understanding of astrology and astronomy and how the sun rises and sets, because yeah, it if you're like totally new to this will sound like mumbo jumbo, basically. So yeah. But I'm just like trying to show you what I was showing you before on that animation shot site, but just show how it would work on a flat Earth, basically. And also, just to add, this animation, your personal dome wouldn't be this big. It would be a lot smaller. For this is just a diagram showing roughly how it is, but your personal dome wouldn't be that big, basically, if you was on Earth. It will be a lot smaller is another thing I want to add. But I'm just using this animation to give people an idea of how it works and also how the South and North Pole work, which I'm going to explain now. So, for example, now where the dome is on the Earth, it's at the equator because both the poles are on the horizon. But once it starts moving south, you will see a blue line come up and you'll see. So now this is going north, and then equator, and now when you get to the south, you can see this is the pole. That's with you when you look south, people would see this turning basically, and then when you go, and then when it swings back north, and you look north, you would see. Excuse me. You would see it more like that's it. So you would see it more like this, and this is how you can see two different poles on a flat Earth, basically. Sorry, this thing's being very jittery, and I'm trying to control it. It's hopping around from place to place. But
I think we should go back and let the whole thing play.
yeah, I'll just, yeah, that's a good idea. All right, yeah, that's a good idea. Rather than me explaining it, yeah, we'll just let the whole thing play. There is music on it, but it's a bit annoying, so I've turned it off. So yeah, this is the sun. This is showing the poles, how or the latitude, how the two poles would work. And then this next part shows the motion of the sun and how it is in the dome,
This
in
is
your personal dome.
kind of wish it would go a little slower. They made this so
Yeah,
quick.
I can't change the speed on here.
Oh, that's a good idea. You know what? We can leave a link for this video as well.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, um, yeah. So, and then this shows you like how you get the day and night at the equator and um the 6 hours day and the 6 hours night on the flat Earth.
Yeah, have you really
Yeah,
looked?
this is a good point. This is a perfect thing, Erin, for the birth chart as well. So
Okay.
now this would be the MC, the sun at the MC, right? And now this is the start part is the bottom half of the birth chart, and this is the top half. So now you can see again how it relates to the birth. It makes more sense now, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is the sun at the cusp of the 10th and ninth house,
And,
basically.
and so
So I'll
for-
carry on playing the video. Sorry.
yeah, no, that's okay. And again, for people, it's like wherever that sun is, depending on how high or low it is, if it's below you when we're born, that just makes such a big impact on
Yeah.
how your life will unfold and who you are and what you're good at.
So I hope I've managed to explain it well. It is a bit confusing, like I said, for newcomers. It took me a long while to get my head around all of this stuff. But yeah, basically, that's just like an explanation of how the poles work on a flat Earth, and um, yeah, it's just basically depending on where you are on Earth. Let me let me just see if I've got anything else to share. Yeah, this is another thing I was going to share. Is just for example, can you see this, Erin?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is Stellarium. This is like an astronomical website. So, for example, like, can you see Scorpio here?
Yeah.
Right. This is from my latitude. Right. So I can never from London. I can never fully see Scorpio, like up in the air. But when I then go to change my location, and just say I move it to Portugal where I was, and then I click off this now. Oh, click off it. You can now see that Scorpio. Oh, why is this not? There we go. So you can now see Scorpio has moved up in the sky. You can see it's not half. When I showed it to you from London's perspective, half of it was below the horizon.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
But when you go south, it comes up
Right.
into the sky. So
Right.
that again, this is what I was talking about earlier with when you. So if I twist this around, for example, now and go and look north. So for example, oh, it's jamming up a bit. Sorry. Right. So north. Right. So right. So there, can you see that star there?
Mhm.
Yeah. So that would be Polaris, right? But again, so this is the latitude. This is it from Portugal. So then, for example, if I change the location and I'll just say I went down here to Africa, you see now it's gone lower in the sky. So then basically how it works. Depending on where you are on Earth, certain stars will be at certain heights in the sky. And
Right.
that's ultimately what I've been trying to explain. Like I said, it's a bit more of it's more astronomy slash astrology, but it's good for us to know this. It's like knowing the other half of it, if that makes sense. Like we know what the signs mean and what the sun and what the planets are, and but it's actually good to know to actually, if you're just out there and you want to understand how it all works, having Stellarium, using the astronomy website, playing around with it, just helps you understand a bit more of how the mechanics of it all works, basically. And
So,
like I said, all I'm showing now is just what I was showing you earlier with where with yeah with this about how at different times of the year the sun will just be lower and higher in the sky, and also at different latitudes it goes higher and lower in the sky as well. So like I said, I hope I've done a good enough job of explaining it. I did want to show one more thing actually, if that's okay. um this is more in relation to the moon. So this diagram here shows you um, basically the height of the moon at different times of the year. So of a full moon, sorry, this is a full moon diagram. So for example, we know that when the sun is in Capricorn, the full moon would be in Cancer,
mhm.
right? So if we go to Capricorn, so if we go to December, we see that the sun is high. The moon, sorry, will be high in the sky because a full moon during Capricorn season would be the moon in Cancer.
Can you say that again?
So when
Well,
the sun's
sun's
in Capricorn, the full moon will be in Cancer,
yeah.
right? So you can see that the moon, so it's on December. So you can see that the moon is high in the sky at the Tropic of Cancer. But then
Right.
if I go to when the sun's in Cancer,
Then the full.
because the full moon will be in Capricorn, it then goes lower in the sky.
Why did I never think about that? What's so silly?
Yeah. So even by looking at the moon and seeing, oh, is it quite high in the sky or quite low in the sky, you can determine roughly where it is.
What sign it's in?
Yeah.
I
And also,
thought about that.
yeah. So this is the thing as well with tropical astrology. It's not really based on what actual constellation it's in. It's more based on where it is in the actual sky.
Right, right. And the rays of,
Yeah, and the angle it's hitting at and how far away it is, and
yeah,
so there's a lot to kind of put into. How can I say? There's a lot to kind of think about when you're looking into all this stuff. But yeah, I really hope I've made that clear. Like I said, it is a quite intricate stuff, and if you don't know the basics of it, it might be a bit confusing, but feel free to ask any questions. And I say also go on this website, astro.unl.edu. We'll leave the link and play around with it and with yourself and get try and get an understanding of it, like change the latitude and change the season and the date and see how it all moves. And that's how I kind of learned it myself. And then going outside and visualizing it all, you come to like for example, the diagram I showed how for like this one, the Stellarium one, like how when you change the latitude, it, or when you're at different latitudes, the pole star will change, or it'll be lower in the sky or higher. I can verify this because I've seen it from 3 different latitudes,
Right.
and I
Right.
can verify that this technique, or the diagram I've been showing you about how the dome or the sun goes up and down at different times of the year, is how it works. And this is the only way we can really, this is the only kind of method we can really use, because this is the only way we see it.
Right. Exactly. That's what that intrigues me so much about this stuff is that, I don't, what I can see with my own eyes and experience for myself, those are the things that I feel more confident in. I just have a hard time wrapping my head around other, we'll call them theories.
Exactly, because to be fair, just like going back to the subject, I'm not going to go into it a lot. I think I can stop sharing my screen now, and I think I've been through everything.
Okay.
Yeah, so but like, because the thing is, like, going back to like the different models, and like the thing is like, unfortunately, like, even if just, I don't know, just let's just say for argument's sake, the Earth is a globe. Let's just say for argument's sake. Right, fair enough. But even us knowing that, there's no practical use to, because we don't experience life from that perspective.
Yeah.
So it's almost, whether it is or not, is almost kind of pointless, because we're never going to experience life from outside and seeing it as a globe and turning. So it's a bit pointless, like, viewing it from that way. Whereas the diagrams I showed you, that is how we actually see it with our own 2 eyes.
Right. Right.
So anything else really is just a theory, whether it's flat, concave, square, diamond, you name it, all these different models. It,
Sure.
it could be any of them. I don't know. To me personally, I've broken it down to 2. My first one is flat Earth because, like I said, that diagram is like a miniature flat Earth model, and that is how, when I'm on Earth and I've been in a plane and I'm going over it, it looks flat to me.
Mhm.
But again, appearances can be deceiving. I understand that. So again, I'm not the creator of this world or this place we're in. So I can't sit here and say, yes, I know 100% that the earth is flat. It appears that way to me, and it makes the most sense to me. But again, I can't sit here in all honesty and say, yes, I know it is. But if from looking at all the models, that one makes most sense to me. And then secondly, if it isn't that, I think it's concave, which is the inverse of a globe, basically. So we're inside of a hollow ball, and the sky is in the middle, and the sun goes around like this. But again, who knows? I don't know. All I can show you, and all I know is that diagram I showed you is how we see life. We've all got our own personal, when we go outside, you can feel your own personal dome. You have a horizon, the sun rises, and then it sets under your dome, and then it comes back up the next morning. And that is all we can physically see, and that is all I go by. So my model is, I call it, is the what you see is what you get model, basically. But again, like I mentioned, that model is like a fractal version of the flat Earth model. So that's how I'd like to wrap it up.
So I gotta add this that it's so interesting because like going back to the very beginning, I actually went to the American Federation School of Astrologers. I actually learned from a school. And I've told you before, Mehmet, that I literally cried my eyes out just trying so hard to understand how it works, and especially from the globe model, it was my brain hurt. It was so frustrating. And I mean, I had to get to a point where I'm like, okay, I get it. I get it. I understand how it works, but this is so overly complicated. And then being, shown more of a perspective of a flat earth, everything was like, this is so much easier. This is
Yeah,
just,
because that's how we see it. That's why.
it just makes so much.
I asked you, when you did go to like astrology school, did they actually like show you globe models and how it? What is that? How they show you it?
It was all done through books. I should probably rephrase that. I didn't physically, I mean, I'm not to say I haven't physically attended an astrology like workshop or that sort of thing, but the American Federation School of Astrologers was not, it wasn't even through the internet. They mail you the work, they mail you the books that you got to study from, and you literally like you have to hand calculate everything with a pencil or a pen on a piece of paper and mail it back to them with a stamp, not like email. And they grade you work and they send it back to you. But yes, in a pretty big portion of the beginning of those studies, yeah, that you had to learn how it worked, how the astronomical perspective worked from the
Yeah.
from the model.
I mean, it can still work from a globe model,
Yeah,
but but that's what I'm saying. It can work. You can make it work from any model because
yeah,
it's just people making it up. That's what I'm saying. Like, whereas what I was showing, I didn't make that up. That's just how we actually see it.
yeah,
Is
exactly.
what I say. So, like for me, I can't go by anything else but from what I can see with my own two eyes, and and it's just like in a way I feel like I've transcended that argument to a degree because like it's I don't know, I see the world in such a different way now. Like I don't even see it in shapes and
Yeah, yeah,
weird. I kind of feel we're like we might just be stuck in a particular frequency, but that's a whole nother
yeah.
like yeah, I'm not gonna get into that. That's just like going into like deep stuff. But yeah, but the simple way of understanding how the sun rises, the sun sets, how you'll see different constellations at different heights in the sky is all to do with latitude, where you are on Earth, basically. And then once you gravitate and grab your head towards that, get your head around that idea, then it will all click in and make sense. But like I said, I hope I didn't confuse you guys. And if you want to leave any comments or ask any questions, feel free to do so.
Both of us are really good about responding to comments on our YouTube channels here. And how can people reach you if they want to?
Yeah, you can reach me at consciousmindstv@gmail.com. Again, I can leave that in my description.
Yeah, I'll leave it on my video. And you're also on Instagram. What's your
Yeah,
Instagram?
yeah, my Instagram is at MEMDVG.
Okay, and Facebook. You're on all of them. Um,
But yeah, like I said, I hope I made it clear. And yeah, if not, just feel free to ask questions. Or yeah, if it's not clear, we can do another video, maybe. Who knows? But
maybe we might, I think we might need to do that because I do feel like it'd be fun to even break down. It's like you broke down the mechanics for us, but then to really get into like why that would, somebody who's born under the sign of Aries with their sun in the seventh house and, that sort of thing. And
yeah,
what that means, maybe not going.
yeah. Sorry, Erin. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just saying maybe not go into too much crazy detail, but help people understand the basics of how that works, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. So that would be obviously like yeah, because for example, that goes again. That gets even more intricate because for example, an Aries born at noon will be different to an Aries born at midnight,
Exactly.
for example,
Yeah.
because due to the amount of sunlight
Yep.
that
Even if
was at the time, and exactly we could get into that. That would be quite interesting.
They're an Aries born, on the same day, the same year, but they're born, 9 hours apart. Totally different people. Totally
Yep,
different.
because of the house placements, basically.
Exactly. And that's what we.
There could even be a difference of moon as well within that time frame. The moon could move into a different sign within that time. There's so many varying factors. That's the thing with astrology. Like, that's the worst one when I see like memes or like I see comedians try and make fun of astrology, and they're like, "Oh, astrology bullshit, yo! If everyone, uh, if it works, then all Aries would be the same, or all whatever would be the same." But that just goes to show what a lack of knowledge you have of astrology for you to even say that.
Yep. Spot on. Okay, well, should we call it here? And
Yeah, we can do that. And yeah, if you guys want another show, or yeah, just give us feedback. And if you want a part two, or you want us to expound on anything, let us know and we'll try and do that.
sure. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording here. Thanks so much for watching, you guys.
You